In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact onboarding process that you should be putting your setters through if you are a coach doing 20 to 50K a month. And this is the process that I've refined and perfected over time, from scaling people like Alec, who's a TikTok shop coach, from 5K a month to 132K a month in 90 days. Andrew Shin, who's a UGC coach, from 39K a month to 151K in a month in 30 days. Sue, who's a B2B consultant, from 45K a month to 225K a month in 6 months. Josh, who's a content coach, from 15K a month to 100K a month in 6 months. Antonio, who's a fitness coach, from 0K a month to 19K a month in 30 days. David, who's a TikTok shop coach, from 15K a month to 45K a month in 30 days. Mo, who's an e-com coach, from 15K a month to 33K a month in 30 days. And a couple others as well, but these are just a couple that I've included. And for those of you who might not know what an appointment setter is, they basically come into your Instagram DMs and they text your leads and they book sales calls for you so that you don't have to be in your DMs all day booking the sales calls. So the whole process should take about 10 days and it is split into 2 phases. Phase 1 is just your basic setup. And for this, you need systems, SOPs, and you need to hire the right setup. The most important thing is hiring, and this is in 2 parts, the setter screening and the setter interview. You need to find someone who is a culture fit. And so the setter screening part is to collect a bunch of looms from about 20 reps and make a short list of the best 3 that you believe would be a culture fit in your business. From there, you jump on interviews with just 2 or 3 of these reps in order to pick the best setter. You do not want to waste time on 20 interviews, but you need to have seen at least 20 different people. In terms of an interview structure, these are the types of questions you should be asking. There are 3 key things to look for in a rep: hunger, cognitive ability, and skill set. Some questions you can ask about hunger are: what got you interested in applying for the role? What's your goal in general? Why do you want to get to the goal? How much do you know about my offer? Describe what I do. How much can you work? How many days a week? What do you want to do after setting? Do you have any other commitments? And this will give you pretty much everything you need to know about whether the setter is hungry enough to be a part of your business. Cognitive ability, this is where you want to ask very unique questions. So a good question that I like to ask setters on interviews is: imagine we were in a slow period and we were not booking many calls and my marketing was just not on point. What would you do? And what you're looking for here is a reply where the setter has very organized thoughts and they've cut it down into maybe 3 key things that they would do in order to carry on pushing it forward. Third thing is setting skill set. You need to know who trained them, how much have they invested in themselves, what offers have they been on, and stats on each offer. Best things to look for in terms of stats is the close rate for your sets, average order value, so how much you are collecting on average, and how much cash collected you have total. Show rate can be a good one to ask as well, but that is the main things you need to know. And if you ask a setter all these questions, you will be able to find the right person. You will know based on what they reply to these questions if they are correct for your business. And from there, you should have a setter and you're good to go. If you have a lot of lead flow, you can hire 2 setters, but normally if you're about 20 to 50K a month, you want to just be going with 1 setter. The second thing to do is the SOPs. So it is very important that you have an inbound framework for leads that text you, an outbound framework to reach out to new followers and people that interact with your content, a post-booking flow to make sure that the leads actually show up after they've been booked on a call, a setter workflow to make sure that they're prioritizing the leads that are closest to buying as opposed to just doing anything. Call note structure so that the setter can give you clear information on what you need to know before jumping on these sales calls with the leads that they're booking, and example conversations. So any conversations that you've had in the past with leads that you thought were good that can help the setter. And I have a link to my frameworks. These are BizOp frameworks, but if you want fitness frameworks, you can comment, or if you want B2B frameworks, you can comment. But the link to my BizOp frameworks and all the workflow will be in the YouTube description. That's SOPs. Super important. The setter needs to have a clear understanding of what they need to do on a day-to-day and what they should say. The better you can lay it out for the setter, the easier the ramp up phase will be, the easier it will be to have the setter start generating you sales. And the third aspect of the setup is the systems. And we can split this into 2, automations and tracking. Tracking is going to be your most important system, and it's very simple. All you have to do is have the setter fill out an end of day report and have it populate onto a simple dashboard. So the setter end of day, these are the questions that you want to ask. Date, obviously, name, how many conversations do they have? How many calls did they pitch? How many calls did they book? Qualified calls booked, hours worked, outbound messages sent, inbound conversations, follow-ups, calls on the calendar today. This is for tracking close rate so that you don't have to fill out end of days yourself when you're closing. Calls that showed up, amount closed, total cash collected, anything you need from your manager or me, and then just making sure that the data is accurate. And then this can populate onto a very simple dashboard. There are only a couple metrics that you need to track, but if you're tracking just 3 metrics, I would recommend tracking show rate, conversation to booking ratio, and average order value, because that will give you an idea right from the start, the conversation, all the way until the sale about what's happening and where leads are dropping off. But here we're tracking calls booked, show rate, close rate, average order value, and then we're also tracking these metrics as well. Outbounds and follow-ups to see how much inputs they're putting in, conversations as inputs as well, calls pitched, calls booked, and then qualified calls booked is to see are they getting outputs from the inputs they're putting in, and then conversation to booking rate is so we can work out are they being efficient in their conversation. Hours worked is to measure how much effort they're putting in, and then inbounds is just to measure is your marketing working as a coach? Is my content bringing in inbound leads? So very simple. And then what you need is automations in your Discord as well. So when they fill out that EOD, you need to be able to see that data, and they need to be able to see that data as well. So every day when they fill out their EOD, basically just check your Discord and have an automation that populates so you can see everything they've been doing. You also need to have, for team culture, a sales automation and a book call automation. Not only does that mean that everyone's in the loop, but if everyone's hyping it up in your Discord, or your content team, your sales team, and then yourself as well, when you get a sale, it's really gonna help team culture, and it's gonna feel like when you win, the whole team wins. And then just a book call automation so everyone knows what's going on. And that's pretty much everything you need to know for the setup. It is just systems, SOPs, and hiring. It is very simple. It should take you 3 days, and the majority of that should be the hiring and finding a setter that you actually want to work with. And phase 2 is the ramp up period. So the goal is to get your setter to be you in the DMs, and that is cut down to workflow, training, and system understanding. The biggest thing is going to be the training. You need to be jumping on daily ramp up calls with your setter. So every single day, going through the inbox, and you can structure your training call like this. You want to outline the objective of the call today. You want to go through the metrics, so what have they been doing? You want to go through the end of days as well to make sure that they've been putting in consistent inputs. Then you want to share your screen, go through your inbox to make sure that they're on top of responses. Ask them what they think their bottleneck is, and then based on what you see in the DMs, either agree with them or tell them what you think their bottleneck is, and then go over that. Review some conversations, make sure that they're following the SOP and they have the SOP up while they're setting, and then outline 1 or 2 of their biggest problems and give actionables to implement it before the next call. This is the best structure that you can follow for a ramp up call with your setter. Other than training, system understanding is super important. So on your onboarding call, you have to walk them through every single thing they should be doing on a daily basis. So filling out the end of days, having the SOPs up when they're setting, basic stuff that they need to get right in order to get your offer right. And the third thing is workflow. A big thing that setters struggle with is understanding when they should be working, how they should manage their time, because they have never really ran real businesses before. They're just a sales rep. So what you have to do is literally pull up their Google Calendar with them, go through any other commitments they have, and schedule in times for doing different things. So when are they going to fill out their pre-call notes? You want to do it in order of who's closest to buying to who's furthest away from buying. And that is how you get them to structure their day. So they wake up, they do pre-call notes. Then they follow up with booked calls and proposed calls. Then they go to clearing the inbox, then they start their warm outbound and follow-ups, and then they just keep the inbox cooking for the rest of the day. And if you get all of this right, then there is no reason why at the end of this 7 days, your setter won't be you in the DMs. And then from there, they can progress. But this is the ultimate way to onboard a setter. It is 2 phases, it is extremely simple, and it's the exact formula that I've used to scale all these clients 2x, 3x, 10x. And if you want more sauce like this, just DM me on Instagram and I will send you every single recording from a ramp up period that I've done with a setter, so you can take notes from that and base it on the ramp up period you do with your setter.